Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I want to know more about you. Can you tell me about yourself?
Sure. My name is Rachel. No, just like. But no, I am a producer, a writer, and I also direct. I do a lot of live events. Switchboard. It's not many of us women in that industry, so love doing that as well. And I'm a mom, a wife, and sister, a daughter.
You're everything.
I'm a lot of things.
You are. You're literally everything. Can you tell me about your childhood?
Yeah, I grew up in Philadelphia.
Woo, woo.
Yeah. Grew up in Philly. Go Eagles. We're still the champs, you know.
We're going to be the champs until somebody else takes the ring. But
exactly.
until then, no.
Until February.
We're still
you know?
Super Bowl champs.
Yes, we are.
What he says.
Right. Don't forget it. No.
Don't forget.
Grew up in Philly. Actually, right outside of Philadelphia is where I actually grew up. Went to school in Yeadon. Most people don't know it. Right near the airport. Mm-hmm. My family. I'm first generation. So my dad. My family's Jamaican, and that's a different type of childhood. So I grew up in Philly, but inside my house, it was definitely the West Indies a little bit, and then my mother, her family's half Sri Lankan, so lots of curry.
Oh, I love curry though because curry's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, smells great.
Mm-hmm.
Can you let me know how you ended up being the producer you are?
Yeah. That's a deep question.
You
Being a
can start
producer.
wherever you want. You can start literally yesterday.
I always knew I wanted to be in film.
Okay.
Like that was, and I can't say film. I always wanted to tell stories from 6-7 years old. I did my first play, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And I was acting in it. I was playing the main character's daughter, but I was so fascinated by getting the story done and then the audience experiencing it and them talking to you after. I was fascinated by it. But anyway, so I started putting on my own plays about 14. For my senior project, I did this big play and all this stuff, you know. So that was always what I wanted to do. I didn't know what it meant though, because I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't have anyone that I could look to and emulate. So it was like acting was the only thing that people told me that I could do. Literally, it was like, okay. So I started.
Are you kidding me?
I kid you not. They were like, oh, well, be an actor, and then you can maybe write, you know, on the side. So I was like, okay, I'll try that. So I did a lot of theater in school. While in high school, I had to sneak sometimes because my parents were not. I mean, no.
First,
you're Jamaican.
They're
you don't
become
to
college. You're gonna be a doctor.
You get benefits. It's not even about the job. It's about the benefits.
Yes.
The benefits. You know. So yeah. So you know, it wasn't really support there. And my dad always said, "Well, make sure you're getting a real career." So I was like, "Okay," but I'm stubborn. I'm a tourist, so still went ahead with that. But the writing part of it and putting stuff on and being a stage manager, I started doing a little bit more of that. I loved it. So I always wanted to do it, and then film was the option. I got my first film set when I was in 11th grade, and I never looked back. I was like, "This is it."
Wow.
Yeah. So right after high school, had a full paid scholarship. I actually left. I had my son early, right at the beginning of college. So I needed to make money, but I also knew I didn't want to leave my dream. I wanted to be in film. So I became a personal assistant of a production company's CEO, and from there I worked my way into being a staff writer, making little suggestions here and there, and yeah, it grew to something more.
Wow. So let's take a step back.
Yeah.
In between going to college,
yeah,
having your first job,
yeah,
you end up at a production company.
Yeah.
But then you end up working for the Eagles. How does this all tie in? I'm trying to understand this all.
Well, I love sports ever since I was really little. They called me NFL because I was like obsessed with football. It was like everything was football. When I was really little, before film, honestly, I wanted to make stories, but I also wanted to be the first woman in the NFL.
So you played neighborhood football with kids?
They didn't let me. So yeah, I mean, I didn't play organized.
Oh, that was.
And I was always wanting to be a safety. I was just want to hit people, and you know, it was crazy. But anyway, all brothers, you know how that is. But no, I love sports. I'm working, you know, being PA, doing a little AD work. I was doing a lot of commercials, videos, all that stuff as an AD, as a PA. And there was someone I know, actually the EP for my current film. He told me that the Eagles were looking for the Eagles television network, which is affiliate of ABC in Philadelphia. They're looking for somebody that's actually a fan of the Eagles to be on the show. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't go in front of the camera, you know, at that
You're
point.
like, I can write this
Right,
stuff
I can write this stuff, but, you know. So I went, though, because it seemed cool. I went. Tony Luke was the main host, who's big in Philly and well-known on the Food Network and things like that. And they wanted somebody to be a sidekick. Originally, he wanted a guy. But I knew a lot of sports. I knew more than the guys there, and basically I argued at the audition with everybody about real sports and about what was going on in the league that year. And this is 2010, and I got it. It was fun. I got to write for fantasy football, and the only reason I wrote was because the first one they wrote it, and people were getting mad at the picks, and I was like, okay, I need to write this.
Really quick though, 2010 for the
Yes.
Eagles. That was really a monumental year for the Eagles. I said that because it was Chip Kelly, but then it was Vic.
Well, no, that's 2012.
That was 2012.
Yeah.
But oh man.
But Vic, that was the time with Vic.
But
Yep.
it was Michael Vick.
Yep.
It was Deshaun Jackson.
Yep.
It was Donovan McNabb.
Yep.
You work with really the greats.
Yeah.
So
and
sorry
Big Red
for
was
taking
there.
that back, but
No.
you literally work with the greats.
Yeah, it was cool.
The greats of Philly,
I got to go to the practices, so that was cool. That was fun.
Awesome. Sorry for taking that step.
No.
Go ahead. Okay, so that's how you ended up working for the Eagles. So
Yeah.
how do you make that transition back into production?
Right before that, I was jaded by the industry because I knew no one, and a lot of people took advantage of me. I mean, I had contracts that were a joke or no contracts, and I got a script stolen, and I wrote a whole script and I didn't get paid for it. They gave me my initial money, and then after that they were like, they never paid me fully, and I had nothing on paper that said I could, and I didn't even know. Everybody I was working for kind of knew I was a workhorse, and I always wanted to be a workhorse, there's no problem, but they also didn't watch my back. So when they started introducing me to other people, they're like, oh yeah, she does that, and I'm doing it, but I'm like, wait, I don't have a contract, I didn't know anything.
You didn't know.
So that happening, and then I need to make more money because I was working for pennies, and that's okay. I was working for free and pennies, but it's okay. But also need to make money, so I started doing event production. Event production was a blessing. I got to still work that gene of getting things done and getting planning done and executing for a big event. And I did a lot of events. I also did personnel management, so it's for US Open, PGA, the Super Bowl. A lot of different things on that side, and then producing events on the side of pharmaceuticals. They do these huge concerts. I got to be a talent wrangler for all these different huge groups. It was crazy. Just for pharmaceutical launches, that was interesting. For Train, I did a couple stuff for them. I did some stage managing, some tour management. So that was fun. But it helped me understand how I work, who I am, period. And I took all that to film, and that's why I produce a little different than most producers on the side of just the way I execute a plan, and also on the side of leadership. My leadership is not forged in entertainment. My leadership is forged by leading, and having no reason for people to respect me because I didn't have the producer title. I was starting as talent wrangler or whatever, and really learning people, reading books, figuring it out outside of film really helped me at the step I am now. Excuse me.
Yeah, so you have a lot of range in your career path. You have gone literally from working in production to going to sports to working behind the scenes and handling big events with different companies.
Yeah. Back
to producing. What advice would you give someone that wants to become a producer? Since you have such a amazing range of background.
I would say up your leadership. It's so important to understand people in this business, in any business, but when it comes to producing, it's not just the X's and O's. It's not just, okay, how do you get this? How do you sign that? It's more on the side of how do you lead the people that you're hiring, and how do you know how to pick the people? And then also on casting, personalities clash. It is what it is. They're always going to clash. You can't plan your way around it, but how to rectify situations, how to empower people to do their jobs at a higher level than their paycheck, how to not only let the paycheck be the motivation, that makes things really change. So yeah, up your leadership, read leadership books. Film books are great, but they're written by people that did films and learned along the way. So you're learning what they already did, so do it as well. You'll learn your things, but really people skills. Your emotional IQ should be higher than your film.
That's true.
And you truly will be the best producer on that level.
Now, what book in particular would you recommend?
So many. For anyone trying to do anything in the entertainment business, I would suggest The Dream Giver. That's a great book for all those naysayers. They call all the people telling you can't do it, whatever. I would read that book. As far as leadership, anything John Maxwell, because he's led in so many different avenues. He was a pastor. He was a CEO. He does this. He does that. He's consulting Fortune 500 companies right now and countries. Like Peru brought him in to fix some problems. Like that's unreal. So his advice comes full circle, and it also deals holistically. So it deals with the mind, body, and soul, and it's really on the side of like, okay, I have to know who I am, and I have to respect myself before I go and expect someone to respect me. Because then you're faking it, and that's going to cause some problems too. You need to respect others, but you can't respect others truly unless you respect yourself.
Yes, and
and
on the holistic approach of knowing who you are and knowing how to respect others, like how to actually interact with others because you know who you are.
Yeah.
One thing I found very, very interesting is you mentioned you had a son at an early age. You had your son early on in your career. However, you were still able to accomplish everything you've accomplished.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how balance has played a major role in your life?
Wow. No balance. Balance is not real. I think it's more knowing your priorities. Your life will never be balanced. That's, I mean, that word is a fluff word, really, to me. But priorities. So, what is your priority? And then how do you your priorities, and then know where they land, your top 4, your top 5, whatever, and then see how they fit into each other, and then double up. My son was on every set. He was my assistant at the U.S. Open. Like, letting him be a part of my other priority. Like, it wasn't either or. And then just not giving up. Being okay, like, that things are not going to go right. Like, okay, I got an offer to produce something. This was early on when he was smaller. Now he's a teenager. But to produce something overseas. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And I was like, no, I can't do it. This sucks. But it's okay because those things are coming back now. Like, I mean, getting an offer to produce something in the Philippines, something in Jamaica. Like, it comes back. So if you have a child, a family, whatever, don't let that be an excuse. That's number one. People be like, well, I have a kid. I can't. No, stop. It's not an excuse, but you do have to treat that as a priority. So making sure that you're able to maneuver in that way. And then, I mean, if you have support. I mean, I had support. I had an awesome mother and a father and my brothers, and everybody chipped in, and, and giving him the opportunity to be around that. And he's such a well-rounded kid because he was around so much so early. So that was a blessing for him too.
Now, in terms of circling back, everything has sort of gone full circle for you.
Yeah.
However, this time you're on the other side of things, and you are the one being the creator. You are the one that created your own film. Yeah. Can you tell me about that? Can you tell me about your experience, how that came about? So
the film is What Death Leaves Behind. It's a psychological thriller. Again, not a lot of us in that world. And it came about because Chad Morin is the executive producer. His cousin had a kidney transplant, and he woke up from his kidney transplants having these horrible nightmares every single night. Every night, every time he went to deep sleep, he had horrible nightmares. So he stopped sleeping at night, staying up in the day, and at nighttime he would call Chad, telling him about his dreams. So those dreams are where the film started.
Wow.
Chad wrote those dreams down. We were working together on some merchandise and some event stuff, and then kind of crossed that in together. And we had what happened was Chad was told no on funding, and The Power of Broke is another good book. Power of Broke. He was told no on some funding. Actually, he was told yes, and then the funding didn't happen. And he's like, I'm going to fund the next thing. And when this came up, he worked really hard. He's not a gazillionaire. He's in real estate, and he put some commissions away, We did the film. And on the side of producing, it was everything. It was co-writing. It was hiring everyone. It was getting everyone there. Bringing on Scott Hamilton. He's our director and DP, which was not the plan originally, but I mean, he's amazing. And he edited the film. So it was like me on the phone, him sending me footage, and him doing it. Like, he did everything in his basement at that, coloring everything.
Wow.
So it was a very small effort in a huge way. And what we did was we worked really hard. We got awesome people. And what I was talking about with leadership side, the way we were able to make the film was empowering people to do their jobs, and not only empowering them to do their jobs, but empowering them knowing they're important. They got to talk to the director every day. They got to talk to the producer every day. We made them feel that their ideas were important. We had an open door policy, and not just like, oh, we care. No, everyone's ideas came into it, and then we went out and did it. And then on set, obviously you have your leaders, but everyone felt that they were important and they were doing something significant. But yeah, on the other side of things, it's just a different muscle.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it how it's just leadership played a role in how you even came about making your own film, and then even the film sounds amazing.
Thank you.
The kidney. I don't think people realize that, like, when you get organ transplants, you actually take on the other person.
Yeah.
So you have you have caused me to want to see this movie because that's so cool.
And the thing is called cell memory theory. It's a real theory, and we learned more about it as we were making this. But this is a real thing. But we just went a spooky route because these dreams he starts having, he believes he's witnessing the dreams of a murder of his donor's killer. So he's the only one that's seen the killer. So murder mystery type movie, but complete Hitchcock ending. It's not what you think. It's not what he thinks. And we go on this journey with him, downward spiral. It's an awesome, gritty film.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
I know it's going to be in the theaters soon.
Yes.
So I can't wait for it to hit that. You have won some awards.
Yes.
And you have won some nominations. So at the success that you have reached so far, how would you have imagined this, and would you have told, would your younger self would have believed this if you would have told your younger self this?
Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes to that. When I was young, I mean, this is like the smallest level. When I was young, it was like all the dreams in the world of what I would do, and it wasn't on the side of accolades though. It was on the side of what I would do, like owning a studio, giving people jobs, saying yes to films, saying what goes out into the theater, having that control, that creative control, not just for my film, but for other creatives to go do what they did, to go do what they want to do. All these crazy ideas that are out there, but yet we're only looking at the same 20 people that are creating the same 20 films.
Oh, that's so true.
Like there's so many stories, there's so many eclectic people. Even it's in our country, we live in America. There's every type of person, there's every type of class, there's every type of race, there's every type of everything. So there should be all types of stories, and those stories are coming to the forefront as more people produce, executive produce, etc. So that was where I gravitated towards, not just skill set wise, I'm the person who gets stuff done. I do things, but on the other side, I wanted creative control. I wanted to say yes to people, and that's my full circle on the side of being a little girl that just wanted to make stuff. Now I want to empower people to make stuff. I want to show creatives go make something. Here's a budget. Here's this. Here's that. So that's the ultimate goal.
I love it. I love it. When it comes to diversity, and America has every single race you can think of. Next year, you are coming out with a docuseries that touches on this. Yes. And it touches on minorities and the accolades some minorities have reached. Yeah. So can you... I mean, for me, being a first generation American, it was certain things I didn't experience. Like I didn't have the great grandparents and the grandparents. So for me, I went to Detroit, and I went to Cleveland, and I went to Chicago, and I went to New York, and I met so many people that were like, my great great grandfather was this, a lawyer, this. And then I ended up doing a documentary called These Not Words. It's in its festival circuit right now as well. It was on Robert P. Madison. He's an architect that built on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He built the Cleveland Browns Stadium. He was engaged to Coretta Scott King right before she met Dr. King, and all these crazy things. But he's 95 right now, 96, excuse me. Still has his firm, an architect firm in Cleveland. But his daughters are what fascinated me. Wow. Having a father that did something so amazing created these women that just were bold in being who they were, and they accomplished so much because they didn't have that iron seal. They didn't have that ceiling on them that said you can't. And coming in as a first gen or anyone that grew up in any type of poverty or anything, you have a ceiling that you have to break. They didn't even have it. They're being that second and third generation of wealth, and they're black. Growing up in Cleveland, they didn't have that same no. They had a yes because their dad did it. So I want to really show everyone this, and we, of course we were doing it with stars to start out, just to get people to focus in on it. But I want to tell those normal stories too, of like someone that had a architect as a father, but we're focusing on like Kim Wheatley and people that these third generation people that grew up with wealth in their family, and now they're able to do so many things on the artistic side or anything, and they're bold. They're really bold in going out and doing what they want to do. So it's called Breaking the Iron Ceiling. So I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I really can't wait for it, and thank you so much for being bold.
Oh my gosh,
and
thank you
for coming on here and telling us the boldness that you have had throughout your whole career.
My production company's called The Audacity. The audacity to dream, to move, to grow, to make, to create. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you for being so inspiring.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Your boldness.
Thank you. Thank you.